What?
How
Are
cool
you
is that?
serious?
Is that cool or not?
That's amazing. Hey, it's Leighton here for the New Heights Adventure Blog, episode 6. So today we're at the back of Kempsey and we're catching up with a good friend, Chris Walsh, and we got him just here. So Chris, tell us, what adventure are you going on today?
How you going? Yep, my name's Chris, yep, as Leighton said. Today, Leighton and I are going to check out a few caves up here on this hill, which he's never seen, but I think are quite amazing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Don't do much caving, so
Yeah.
it's going to be fun.
This is our day.
Let's do it.
Kind of just sit here in this landscape. I love it.
Yeah.
One's like you crawl through the hole, you know, and then it's
Opens up. Huh. Oh yeah, it's
feel
cold.
the cold air.
That's amazing.
So welcome to the Bat Cave.
Awesome.
Picture shot, mate.
Oh, yeah. Try this little first cave. Gets my claustrophobia. Yeah. There we go, first cave.
Mini cave.
Mini cave. Alright, let's get into the real thing. So Chris, just tell us a little bit about yourself and your connection to youth work.
Sure. My connection to youth work and my life story, you know, I was never in youth work. I kind of fell into it in one sense, and I believe in God. I'm a Christian man now, but I never was. I grew up with a family with 7 sisters, 4 brothers, you know, a big Catholic family. Never attended church, you know, lived a bit of a wayward lifestyle as a youth, spent youth, hated school, all those sort of things, but one day that all changed, and I met a godly man who put me on a really good path that, you know, I've been on now for 35 years. And I just fell into youth work in the local church where I came into the church when I was sort of late teens, like 18 years of age. Helped out with the youth in the church, and from there on I've been on many adventures in camping and adventures to Thursday Island on mission trips overseas, to Haiti, to Vanuatu, to New Guinea. Yeah, and my life has been one new journey after another that, you know, I never dreamt of. And yeah, the youth work is one now that I'm still involved in, and I work at a school now. I work with families that are troubled and young people that are struggling, and I really love the job that I do.
Awesome. So Chris, tell us, what's been your most epic adventure or journey, and tell us that story.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I can remember one. There's been a few in life, but this one is probably the first one I ever got to do. I'd never been overseas, never been on an airplane. Landed in New Guinea, where, you know, they still ate people in certain parts of that land. So it was a unique experience. Into Port Moresby, it was about, you would have said it was 100 degrees. It just never, the heat never stopped, you know, beating down on you. But the story that I'm thinking of, we were right up in the middle of New Guinea in a place called Hagen, Goroka. It was still, like I say, a cannibal tribes and so forth up there. This is 1983, so a few years ago. And we're walking through the bush on a Saturday morning. We're heading to take church somewhere in the bush, and we're just on foot. And this story I remember because it was unique in my mind. And the New Guinea Highlanders were about 4 foot high. So I'm 6 foot, they're 4 foot. And I remember walking along, and I feel this hand slip into my hand, and this little New Guinea man is in a grass skirt, and he's holding my hand in the bush with that hand, and in his other hand he's got a machete, you know. So I dare not, even though I felt a little bit uncomfortable, I dare not say let go of my hand, but walking along, next minute another hand slips into my other hand, the left hand, and here's another little New Guinea man, you know, with a bush knife. So here I am walking through the bushland, way up in the highlands in New Guinea, with two men holding my hand, which was totally, you know, not in my culture at that time, to hold hands, but it was very natural for them. But for me, it was an uncomfortable experience in one way, but in another way, it was really unique. And I think, look back on it now with fond memories of hanging on to these two guys' hands, both of them with bush knives, and both of them probably cannibals. But I'm still here today.
Awesome. What's one thing you learnt from that moment?
Yeah, that's a really good question. There's probably a lot of things to learn from an experience like that. Not to judge people, that's for sure. Look, I really learnt for myself trusting in God. Like when you're in a place, I think of the men that went into there many years ago, and they were the first white men or the first missionaries that ever went into there. You know how brave they were, and I thought, you know, I learned that, you know, there's a verse in the Bible that says, "Fear nothing but God," and I went, you know, I definitely learnt to trust in God. There's nothing else that can harm us, and God won't harm us, but fear Him, because He holds our life in His hand. And you know, I had to learn to trust in God for all things and that.
Saying goodbye to the sunlight. And saying hello to the dark. Oh, it's nice and cool in here though, isn't it? It's awesome.
Creates a vortex.
Oh, that's amazing.
When they're flying in here, yeah, so we're going to see them big time then.
Huh.
I haven't been here, but I have had them land on me.
Whoa.
See that noise? That's not water, that's the bats coming out of this hole. Come down here.
What?
That's
Are
all
you
that.
serious?
Is that cool or not?
That's amazing. If I walk through there, they won't.
No, you turn this way now. Yeah.
What?
And they'll create this vortex as they go in the same way. Hear the wind?
No wonder it's blowing wind out of the other holes, eh?
Hear the wind they're making. How cool is that?
Huh.
Go walk in there, mate. Go for it.
Whoa, we've got bats flying at us here. This is crazy. Whoa, they're just running into me.
They'll blush you.
Whoa, he just hit me in the head. There's a lot of bats in here. That's crazy. There's so many bats.
Nice, mate.
Yeah, it's awesome. Whoa. It's so many bats. Yeah. I hope this camera picks it up. Huh. Yeah. Yes. Oh, bat poo. Yum yum. That's pretty amazing. Yeah. It's not the top. Like this sort of rock. Chris, tell us what's your unique skill or talent or personality for youth work?
It's a very good question, and a lot of people probably debate this as a skill or a gift. Generally, I take life fairly lightly, and I don't make things too serious, and so having a joke and having a good laugh is something that I find, because kids tend to carry a lot of burdens around. So to shift those burdens, I think, you know, a good laugh, a good joke, a bit of fun, and, you know, looking at life as being fun rather than a burden.
Cool, awesome. So Chris, tell us what's one mistake you've made working with kids, or a poor decision, or a bad moment?
Yeah, probably a bit back on the last question where we, you know, the fun and that in life. Sometimes I take things a little bit too far, and that can be the case. And one time I was sort of assistant youth leader, and I had all the kids, you know, this is when you could drive in the back of the ute and everything. They were in the back of my F100, in the front, had a big bench seat, and I said, let's stage a crash, you know, and the youth leaders were, you know, back a kilometre or so coming, and I thought this would be great fun, but guess what? It wasn't. It was a big mistake. It happened probably 30 years ago. I still think about it, and the youth leaders still remind me of it occasionally. But it was a mistake, because I remember the look in their face, and also the look on the kids saying, yeah, that wasn't cool. Big mistake.
Can you describe sort of the scene that you created there?
It was a graphic scene of bodies laying down, the bonnet was popped up, the doors were open, so it was a pretty good stage. I parked the F100 up a bank with the bonnet facing a tree, so it had all the right hallmarks. Other than smoke and steam, it looked like a bad scene.
What did you learn from that little prank there, that mistake?
Look, oftentimes you've got to think before you act, and I mean that's a life thing. Like we always make mistakes in life. You know, if we don't learn from them, then, you know, it's not much good. We're a fool if we don't learn. So yeah, I've learned that I've got to think before I act.
So Chris, what's your most rewarding moment you've had in youth work?
Yeah, look, one of the most rewarding, like, I work at a school now, and I get to work with young kids all the time now, and sharing their heartbreak and their hopes, their dreams, their aspirations, and many other things. But I do remember the first kid that I ever worked with when I did get to school, and I was only the maintenance guy, so I wasn't meant to work, but it was a little school, you know, and, you know, everybody was hands-on, and you were part of the team. And, you know, this kid had done something that he shouldn't have done, and I remember having some quite firm words with him about it, you know. So I'd just come out of the building industry where, you know, it's a lot of hard men work, and, you know, you learn life lessons the hard way. And anyway, I took that into school, and I shared with this young fella some hard lessons, you know, about life, and I shared with him fairly gruffly, and, you know, what I thought about what he was doing. You know, and I thought, yeah, this could go bad, and a lot of people talked about it. I know the teachers, because they had a lot of trouble with him. But, you know, that kid, every time he saw me down the street, I can still remember his cries as I'd drive by, you know, in the town of Kempsey. He'd be yelling out, "Mr. Walsh, hello, Mr. Walsh," and it still rings in my ears, and I still see that young man who's now a father. You know, he's got 2 kids, and yeah, he's trying in life, you know, but I remember that moment was a golden moment.
Awesome. What's one thing you can take away, Chris, from that moment there?
Yeah, look, you know, I've done a lot of different things in my life. Here in Kempsey, there's actually is a big jail, and I actually work with the men in jail there. But so what I take away from that for this kid is that I don't give up on them, because when I talk to the men in jail, you know, they were once little boys like this little boy, hard life, rough things going on. So, you know, the right word at the right time can change a life around, and I saw that in that young man. You know, he's still got a long way to go, but, you know, at that time, you know, he went from being a gruff little guy, you know, and to showing respect to me. And, you know, I see that in the men in jail. They get in there and they look back with remorse, you know, on their life, and they hope for better. So I hope for better for young people, and it doesn't matter what they're like.
Cool. Hi Chris, last question. What's some parting advice for anyone watching, and myself, that wants to get into youth work?
Yeah, look, some of the most enjoyable parts in life are working with young people. I find that they're doing it tough because, you know, of family, and, you know, there's drugs and alcohol and all sorts of things that we deal with, domestic abuse. The reward is sometimes, like, it's not always rewards, but some of the rewards are just fantastic when you see that kid come through life. Because I work with them at school, we get to track their journey for many years, and it's not giving up on them. You know, like it's a work of a lifetime in anything, and youth work is working with them not just once. You've got to be willing to go the extra mile. So if you're willing to go the extra mile in youth work, very rewarding.
Cool. So thanks Chris for our adventure. Got skinny metal stings all over me and sticky beaks and farmer friends and bat to my eye, but it's been an awesome little trip, so thanks for coming out for a little journey, and yeah, we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks everyone.